The Honourable Ms Franks.
Thank you, Chair. There's a couple of things I raised actually in my second reading contribution that I'm still waiting for answers to. If we could start with the Biosecurity Act, and I understand there's a prepared statement, and then I'll move to the other questions that remain unanswered.
Yes, Mr President. I have a prepared statement which has been given to me to read, titled Biosecurity Determination Davenport Community Removal. The Davenport Community Council, on behalf of the Davenport community, agreed to become a designated community under the Biosecurity Determination, which commenced on 26 March 2020. Davenport Council members undertook a community survey on 4 May 2020, which indicated a strong view from those households surveyed to ease the biosecurity determination restrictions. Given the wider relaxation of restrictions in the general community and the limited community transmissions, the community now believe that the risk to Davenport residents is low. On 11 May 2020, just earlier this week, Davenport Community Council indicated to state government their request to be removed from the biosecurity determination. On the 13th of May 2020, which was yesterday, the state government notified the Commonwealth of Davenport Community's request to be removed from the biosecurity determination as a designated area. The required amendment to the biosecurity determination to enable Davenport Community to be removed needs to be signed by Minister Hunt. We understand this is expected next week. When signed off by Minister Hunt, he will notify the state government of the amendment's date of commencement.
Ms Franks.
Thank you, and I can't imagine that you have this particular piece of information there with you right now, but if on notice, with regards to the 4th of May survey of the Davenport community, if it could be indicated who authorised that survey, what questions it contained and how many community members it was both given to, in what form it was given to them and how many participated in that survey. So I'm also interested in what role the department played in that, or whether it was purely a council survey. But I'm assuming you don't have the answers to that right now. Thank you. Now, my other